There is a new bad guy on the internet, and it is Pirate Software, or Thor. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've already heard a bunch of the drama surrounding him. I want to summarize a lot of it, give my own take on it, and respond to Upper Echelon's video on Pirate Software. To get started, there is a lot of backstory. Who exactly is this guy? And if he's so evil, why did people subscribe to him in the first place? Why was he so popular to begin with? Well, he got big making YouTube shorts and selling himself as a smart, wholesome creator who's looking out for the little guy, who's trying to do the right thing, and who's also an insider in the game development industry. And there's been a lot of tension in history, such as Gamergate or just conflict between places like Kotaku and your average gamer. If you've ever watched someone like Asmongold, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is drama between normal gamers and people within the industry. There's a lot of tension there, and often a lot of vitriol and hatred, and this seemed like, oh, this could be a bridge between these two things.
I've been contacted by gamer supplement shit. I've been contacted by energy drink bullshit. I've been contacted by Raid Shadow Legends. I've been contacted by all of these different companies, VPN companies, all this. And you know what I tell them every time? I tell them to go eat sand. Because I'm not going to sell you something that I think is dog shit. You don't need energy drinks to sit on your ass watching a streamer. You don't need a VPN because it doesn't make you safer. The only thing it does is let you have an endpoint that is different on the internet so that you can go and access different services from a different part of the world. You don't need it. And you don't need to play Raid Shadow Legends because you should love yourself and stop paying into a system like that that just rips you off as a player instead of giving you a good game. Bullshit. All of it is bullshit. All of it. And I refuse to take their money because it's worthless.
His YouTube shorts, which is where he became very popular, is filled with videos like this that are very wholesome and kind, with common sense advice, giving ferrets medicine, talking about how poor people need to commit piracy, trashing on microtransactions, and telling everybody that they can make games.
So anybody that's like, oh, I can't make a tiny, fun little game that's charming? Yes, you can. And it can be financially viable. You can do this. You can make the game that is charming and silly and within your grasp. And you can still make a living off of that.
The reason that I'm showing so many clips from Pirate Software himself is so you can see what I mean when I say that he is portraying himself as a wholesome chungus, feel-good, friendly kind of guy. I don't want to waste your time, but he's got a short talking about how he's going to pay his moderators. He repeatedly talks about his own industry experience. Many of those shorts are about how he worked at Blizzard for 7 years, or how he got 3, I don't know, black belts hacking, something silly like that.
100%. I've done this for 20 years. I know a lot of shit about this.
Yes, so if you were to ask Thor about security, he probably has at least, you have some conception of what is going on here.
Just a bit. Just a little bit. Yeah.
He is clearly trying to portray himself in 3 ways. 1, that he is wholesome. 2, that he's a serious, experienced, and intelligent game developer. And 3, that he's a talented and skilled gamer.
You're projecting a person that is more critical of you than exists because you're being critical of you. Be nicer to yourself. I think you should be kinder to you and realize that the amount of self-reflection that you're doing where you're highly critical of yourself, that person doesn't exist outside of you. Not really. Because you know where the weak spots are, you know where to punch. They don't. Be nicer to you, man.
I physically cannot go through all of the videos where he talks like this, where he's kind to people, where he's giving basic level advice about self-esteem or responsibility or just getting through life. It's hard for me to emphasize just how many different ways he is actually not wholesome. I thought about part 1 here being the entire video, but there is more to Pirate Software than just this. However, because this single part is so complex and deep, we're going to break part 1 into 3 different sections. We have 1, him being a prick to other gamers, whether that's in World of Warcraft or Ashes of Creation.
WoW is not difficult, and that's coming from someone who was a Mythic Raider, dude. It's never been difficult at all. Here's how you beat WoW. Stop standing in fire, you dumbass. That's it. That's 100% it. Oh, look! There's a colored thing on the floor. I shouldn't stand in that. Did my healer cast it? No. Then get out of it. That's the game. That's the whole goddamn game. Of course I ran. You overpulled 2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss. I had 1,400 mana left. I had to spend all of that mana to try and put it on Blizzard to save you guys in the first place, and nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources. You overpulled, and you weren't paying attention to where the boss was. That's not on me. You're just gonna talk over me? Is that all we're doing?
You my points.
Okay. You done giving your point? You good?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You go roll a mage then. See you around.
Now, I know not all of you have played World of Warcraft or have played it at a high level, so you don't really understand the drama there, but objectively, Pirate Software played very badly, like a complete noob, which caused a couple of his friends to die and lose hundreds of hours of progress because they're playing on a hardcore difficulty with permadeath. The other players didn't play very well either, but each of them ended up coming around, apologizing, taking on some of the blame, and Pirate Software just completely refused, took on none of the blame, and still to this day maintains that he's not at fault, and he was eventually kicked from the guild for that. Small piece of drama, right? This next clip is Pirate Software in Ashes of Creation berating his guild, threatening to kick people out after he wiped his own guild. He didn't understand that he did that. Sorry about the random guy commenting. I couldn't find the original clip. They've all been deleted and the VOD is now gone off Twitch.
I swear to God, I'm gonna go back in the video and find out who pulled that damn thing, kick him out of the raid. That is insane shit. You have to be better than that. One of you attacked an Oculus and just wiped the whole party. For no reason. And we just lost all of those materials because you're not paying attention. This is basic shit.
5 is as far as I go.
We're not pulling those Oculuses because they kill the raid. We're pulling only the humanoids that are dropping the actual gear. basic. I've been talking about this the whole time.
That's just right.
Tab targeting and just pulled the damn thing. But seriously,
But
if we
the
have that
fucking
kind of a mistake
mounting is
again, I'm
that.
disbanding
Look
the
at
party.
this.
I'm gonna go run with other people. Because you guys cannot do that again. That is insane shit.
I'm gonna go run
Legitimately.
with other
There's
people.
no reason for that.
Cannot
When
do
I
that
say the
again.
whole group is moving forward, that means you are not pulling shit from behind.
Oh,
Going around where we were in a raid, and we had so many failures in the raid throughout the day, and I threw out an orb of lightning, and an ocular got pulled, and I thought it was somebody else in the party. I was like, God damn it. I was so mad. I was like, who is this? We're going to find out who did this, and it was me.
Any one of these incidents wouldn't really mean much, but it just goes to show that he's willing to abandon his teammates. He plays very poorly, but he holds other people to a very high standard. He's a terrible raid leader. He's a terrible guild mate. That's why he was kicked out of a guild, which is embarrassing. It's not a very high bar to just get by in a guild, and he takes a very long time to take accountability when playing video games. Now, keep in mind, this is just video game stuff. Most people don't really care about this. None of this is really a big deal, but it does really show that his persona that he's putting on those shorts is just that. It's an act, it's a persona. His real person is coming out when he's playing these games and fighting with these people because he's an ass. Next, we got to talk about the second piece of this, which is him being a prick to Ross with Stop Killing Games, which I'm sure every single one of you has heard about already. So I'm actually going to go through that one really quickly.
Oh shit, no, this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm gonna actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. No, eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
I will put a link to Ross's video in the description. Obviously, you should have already watched that. You should sign the petition if you can. Obviously, everybody supports it, and nearly everything that Pirate Software said about it was either just him being completely confused, an idiot, or lying, and it's hard to say which one. Honestly, a lot of it seems like he's dumb, but some of it he could be lying. It doesn't really matter, though. You can see the way he treats Ross, who is nothing but kind and respectful over and over again. And honestly, even more crazy than this whole Stop Killing Games part, and him being rude to people he plays video games with, is the Ferret stuff. The Maldavius Figtree. We got to dive into that.
Last night, Twitch decided that they wanted to delete our favorite emote on this channel. It's been in use since January 2022. It is an animated ferret butt. There is no butthole on it. There is no anything on it. It is just a blank ass. The only thing they've told me is that it's disallowed content, imagery of sexual content or nudity. Twitch, if this is sexual content, if your moderation team thinks that this is sexual content, I think that says more about you than it does about me. I'm just saying, it's a little bit weird. Don't get too aroused, Twitch. I know that ferrets turn you on so much.
So he is correct there to mock Twitch for banning his little emote. And you might think, why would they do that? It's not a big story. The reason I'm even talking about this is because Pirate Software is being fake here. There is a very high chance that Pirate Software himself is sexually aroused by ferrets, even though he runs a ferret rescue. He is a furry. He has sold sexually explicit content about ferrets in some of his leaked chats with another homosexual man. He has sent weird furry emojis. There's a lot of animal pornography stuff going on with this guy. To have that background and then to joke about this, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It is the opposite of wholesome. In the last section, I was going to talk more about the Ashes of Creation, him being mean to people, but just take my word for it that he's really rude to everyone he plays video games with, because I found even more stuff. I really want to move on because I think we all understand that he's a dick to other people in video games. We got to dive into the ferret stuff.
Number 1, Maldavius Figtree. This is the character that everyone's talking about. You'll actually see this posted all over the internet with people trying to use it as some kind of a gotcha against me. Except this character's never been secret. I talk about it all the time on stream, and I usually refer to Second Life, which is where this character resides, as an adult version of Roblox.
Now, you might have seen his avatar for Maldavius Figtree, and that is his Second Life character. That's what he looks like currently. However, he is openly a furry, and the stuff that he sold on Second Life that he was making with a 17-year-old at the time is stuff like this. Now, this is the least explicit stuff I could find. If I scrolled up or down, there'd be breasts and nipples on animals. He was only 19, so me saying that he's making this stuff with a 17-year-old is not to say that he's some kind of predator, but it is to say that even as a teenager, he was into this kind of stuff. He was a furry then, and there's evidence that he's a furry in his 30s as well. Let's see how he portrays this incident where he's selling this stuff with a 17-year-old.
They were 17, and I was 19 when all of this went down, and no, we never did anything sexual together. We made avatars in Second Life, and our work was really popular. And by really popular, I mean we were one of like the top 3 avatar creators at the time. The two of us made about $5,000 to $10,000 US every month doing this.
Now, you don't need to take an AI's word that Second Life is a place for furries. This YouTube video has 24,000 views from 6 years ago, and it says Furries of Second Life, Why This World is Our Home. This is a very popular place for furries. But you can see the way that Pirate Software portrayed Maldavius Figtree. He portrayed him as just this quirky character with rainbow colors and a TV on his head, when the name comes from someone who was making pornography as a teenager. And not just any pornography, but furry pornography. So it's a very strange past. When Pirate Software was 31, he talked to this guy named Lyric, who was 20 at the time, this little Asian kid. And there's some Telegram leaks between the two that are, well, wildly inappropriate. So first, they're massive, and I can't scroll through these because, well, there's a lot of inappropriate content. Just take my word for it that this is about 1/20th of all the content. And I'm not sure what I can show on YouTube, but I'm pretty sure none of this is too explicit. But notice the one sending these things. It doesn't say Lyric. Now, the reason I found this is I went to piratesoftware.sucks, and apparently this guy, Lyric, is basically a jaded ex-lover. And you might be thinking, wow, you're showing private conversations, private sexting between him and an ex-lover? It's to highlight that he's not wholesome. And keep in mind, these chats are from August of 2018, and Jason Hall was married from 2015 to August of 2020. Supposedly, they filed that they had a separation in 2019 of August. And so possibly, if we're being very generous, he was separated with his wife. But it is a bit crazy to be currently married, filing for divorce, you're separating, to be essentially dating someone 11 years younger than you and building up this level of drama where this person creates a hate website about you, linking all of your conversations with them. And it's not like this was just a hookup and they went crazy. All of the conversations they have on this website show that Thor was reciprocal. This was a two-way relationship. This is the type of person that Thor decided to basically date and associate himself with. Enough about that. I've been poisoning your brain. This is just random gossip about a guy, and I'll talk later exactly why I brought that up and why it's important. But for right now, just keep it in your mind. We're going to move on, and now we're going to talk about parts 2 and 3, and we're going to combine them into one thing. So he flaunts his accomplishments quite a bit.
Yeah, it was really bad. He walked into the room at the washroom. I was the other guy had the key. And he walked into the room. He's like, I need to put this device plugged into the wall under there. And I was like, you ain't doing that, man. And he goes, well, I said I could. I was like, all right, fine, go plug it in. And he plugged it in, put it in the couch. The moment he left the room, I unplugged it, pulled it apart. I took the device immediately, dumped all the information off of it. I actually looked at it. It had 4 screws on one side and 3 on the other side, so I knew which side was the access point that he was accessing because he had dropped the screw, which was thankful because things like this could be trapped. You know, there's all kinds of crazy that people can do. Opened it up on the other side, took out the SIM card that was in it, took out the memory card that was in that, popped the memory card in my machine to go look at the logs the guy had through it. I was like, oh, this is really bad. Took all that, took it to the FBI contact, sat in a room for like 4 hours. They found the guy.
He revealed where the other devices were. They arrested him. That was the end of it. And I think they gave me a challenge going for that. I think I got an FBI challenge going for that.
The problem that we usually have with escape rooms is that we accidentally sequence break them all the time because we're a bunch of puzzle mutants, and you put a bunch of DEF CON puzzle mutants in one room, and you tell them to solve a puzzle in order, and we solve it out of order and destroy the room every time, which is like very funny, like really funny. We had a clock one, and there were like 3 clocks on the wall, and then there was a clock kind of like over here that was an accessible area, and we can move the hands around the clock, and I added up the time for each of the clocks, and then I inputted that on the hands of this one, and it opened, so I thought I'd solved the puzzle. But in reality, this was a coincidence between these two things, and we skipped like 60% of the room, and they got the best time that they'd ever had, and then they discounted our time, saying that we were disqualified. Yeah, like just weird like that. We're like, what?
There are dozens, if not hundreds of clips of Pirate Software puffing his chest, showing off how impressive he is. He has 7 years of experience at Blizzard. He has 3 DEF CON badges. He's a great hacker. He's a genius. And it is a very consistent theme. Then you watch this video by Not Albino, and he perfectly shows that he's a fraud, that he completely lied during this video. He didn't actually solve these puzzles. He used his chat, and he later even admitted, yes, I was working with my chat. It was a community thing. But that is not the way he portrayed himself. If you want the full breakdown, just watch this Not Albino video. That really shows that the puzzle solving genius bit is, well, either completely fake or exaggerated. His last big accomplishment is that he's a game developer, and he talks about being a game developer. I'm kind of sick of showing clips of him. I have a feeling he's going to DMCA this video, just like he's DMCA'd indie developers because I'm using his voice, which is another controversy that he has. He DMCA'd an indie developer who made a meme game about streamers, and in that video game, it made fun of Pirate Software. Now, it didn't actually use his voice, and he DMCA'd it falsely to get it taken down. And then after a bunch of pushback, ended up retracting. Now, the way he paints that story is completely different. And I don't want to deep dive into this one. I just want to highlight it as one more example of him being a piece of shit asshole and wielding his power, his influence, his fame, and his wealth to be a dick to other people and to make the world a worse place. Okay, the last part is I got to talk about the upper echelon video. So he does the very brave thing, and he comes to the defense of Pirate Software. And similar to the way Never Knows Best defended Emo Pagliarulo, I do love when someone's willing to be that one guy who stands against the crowd and says, no, fuck you, you're all wrong. It's brave, it's awesome, and I love it. So I got to give him some props for that. However, his whole point here is kind of bullshit. And I'll talk about why, but first I'll let him explain his point, just so you know the context.
Pirate Software, for many people, is not a likable person. His mannerisms, his cadence, especially his attitude, it's all frankly weird and repulsive.
So right away, I disagree with his interpretation of this. I do not hate Pirate Software. I don't think he's unlikable at all. I think a lot of people saw his shorts and thought this guy's very charming. This guy's very likable. He seems like a really good guy, and I want to support him.
Pretty much no one who watches YouTube without creating content for a large audience has any comprehension of what it's like to start getting thousands of direct messages and comments saying the exact same things over and over while insulting you. Think about walking down the street and every single person that you pass says, your clothes are ugly, over and over. What do you think happens after a couple of blocks?
Does it make you think about something that you haven't already thought about?
So I'm actually going to say sorry to him for speeding up his voice, but I didn't want that clip to take too long. And the reason that I disagree with him here is that while he is correct that getting a huge mob of hate has an extreme toll on your psyche. I'm not a big creator. I have 13,000 subs, and when I get a few dozen mean comments, it does get to me a little bit. And if you ramp that up 100 times, it probably gets me a bit more. And if you ramp that up 1,000,000 times, like Pirate Software is going through, with large creators talking about you again and again and again, and having this massive wave of hate coming your way, it would be overwhelming, and I would quit the internet. I would just be done. There's no way I would stay. I do not have the mental fortitude or the emotional fortitude to handle that. It's just too much. You might think you do, but chances are most people don't. You probably don't either. Now, with that said, Jason Thor Hall has gotten way more privilege, wealth, and fame than anyone I know, than anyone I've ever met, than anyone I've even come in person with. He currently has about 2.5 million YouTube subs. The views on his channel are pushing 2 billion. This is not counting his money from Twitch, his money from Patreon, his money from donations. This man is incredibly rich. He is incredibly influential. And that's the only reason any of this drama matters in the first place. If we were talking about somebody with even 100,000 subs, that would be stupid. But when people get this big, they deserve this much criticism. That's why people like Hassan Piker and Asmongold get as much hate as they do. They are massive, they're rich, they have influence, they have power. And with that is going to come a lot of hate. And if you get that kind of power and you treat everyone around you like complete shit and you lie repeatedly over and over and over again, you deserve to have that power taken away. Upper Echelon talks about what should be done. What does the mob want? The mob wants an apology. The mob does not want an apology. I don't want an apology. I want this guy to lose his subs, to lose his power, to have to get a real job and be like the rest of us. Just to give you a quick rundown about how much money he is making, these are some average salaries of different careers of people that I know. And so over 10 years, a dentist, a good dentist, would make less than $2 million after 10 years of working full-time all the time. As a teacher, even if I had my master's and I worked a long time and I got a big bump, I would still, after 10 years, make less than a single $1 million. I can guarantee with his 2 billion views, even if they're on Twitch, he has made multiple millions of dollars. It's hard to get a good estimate. I would say somewhere between 2 and 10 million between Twitch and YouTube and his games. It could be more. I don't know. It's really hard for me to estimate, but he is definitely a multi-millionaire from doing this. Now, that's just the money aspect. I want to give you some insight into what it's like to be a creator. Now, I have, again, 13,000 subs. I'm not a massive channel, and before the Oblivion remaster came out, I was hovering around 2,000 subs. I put out some controversial videos because, I don't know, I like to share my opinion, and for each one, I would get about 50 mean comments, I would lose 200 subs, and life would go on. I would argue that any controversy I've been involved in is much smaller than all of this stuff that Pirate Software has done. I'm not nearly as mean to anyone. Even Patrician TV, I mostly tease him. I'm certainly not mean enough to warrant him making a website about me and hating on me or making multiple videos about me or anything like that. And the benefits as a creator is people just randomly give me money for playing a video game. And I want you to really take a moment and think of how insane that is. You, if you're watching me, probably play video games. No one ever just pays you money for that, ever. Not to talk, not to be funny, nothing like that. I have a guy, and I don't know if he wants me to say his name, so I won't right now, but maybe I'll give him a shout out later. I was struggling with one of my streams. OBS wasn't working properly. Some of my settings weren't set up. He hopped in a Discord call with me, ran me through all the settings I needed to change, fixed my stream for me for free. You might think, okay, that's a friendly thing to do. And normally, after a friend does you a favor, that's that, right? Well, he then super chatted me $50. Does a friend do a favor for you and then put a crisp $50 bill in your hand? No, never. That is a privilege that a streamer and only streamers get. Normal people do not ever go through that experience, ever. Then I'm busy. I want to set up a Discord, but I don't want to do all the work. I ask him and he does everything for me. Other people have randomly reached out to me and said, hey, you want some assets for thumbnails? I noticed your thumbnails suck. Here's some assets. Here you go. Here's some Oblivion stuff. Random people that I've never met, that I've never talked to, that I've never done anything for, just do nice things for me. All the time. For how much shit Pirate Software is going through, for how horrible this whole thing has been for him, I'm sure it has been completely awful and a nightmare, and he should get off the internet to avoid it. With how big of a channel he is, the amount of benefits he receives is unimaginable. I don't think you or anyone you know can fathom how much positive comes from all of that, how much power, how much fame, and how much money he has accrued in such a short time. And yes, it's inflated his ego and it's changed him into an insane person. He deserves to be mocked, he deserves to be ridiculed, and he should certainly stop treating people like Ross like shit. I haven't really talked about Stop Killing Games in this video because, like I said, everyone else has talked about it, but that is the big thing that he fucked up on. Everything else I've talked about here, you might brush away and say, oh, it's not a big deal. I don't care that he's a furry. I don't care that he dated someone 11 years younger than him while he was married. I don't care that he was an asshole to his wild guildmates. I don't care that he was an asshole to people in Ashes of Creation that he was a guild leader for. And I don't care if he was an asshole to other guilds in Ashes of Creation. I don't care what he did. I don't care if he cheated in a puzzle game. I don't care if he lied about his accomplishments. Sure. But we all care that he is obviously an industry shill, that he only cares about himself and his own problems, and that he's a fucking prick. No one who has gone out of their way to kill video games deserves that kind of love, that kind of affection, that kind of money, and that kind of power. Honestly, I still feel kind of weird even having the small amount of benefits that I get, the small amount of kindness that people send my way. It doesn't quite feel right. But if you know some basic math, you can find the difference between 13,000 and 2.5 million. So it's time we all do our part. We stop talking about him. I'll do my part. This will be the last time I ever talk about him. And you go and unsubscribe from him and stop watching his content. That's the only thing you as the mob can do, and that's absolutely what he deserves. After recording most of this video, I found out that he was swatted. That is messed up. Don't do that. That person belongs in prison. Honestly, I think the punishment for that kind of thing should be much higher than it is, and I hope they get caught, and I hope they get punished. As I said, his punishment should be people stop watching him. It should not be that people harass him or threaten to kill him or other psychotic things. If you're one of those people, look in a mirror, stop being a freak. Stop being a complete loser, a degenerate freak, asshole. Grow the fuck up. People like Pirate Software do not deserve sympathy, and you're going to give it to him because you're a freak. You're somehow even worse than him. I hope you go to jail. Okay, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.